Daf Ayin Zayin Amud Aleph will begin Ayin Vav Amud Beis right at the bottom Amar Rava. The Mishnah said Hamaitzi Yain is Kedei Mezigas HaKais. The shear for taking wine out on Shabbos to be Chai for Haitzah is Kedei Mezigas HaKais, the amount of wine that's used, Yain Chai, undiluted wine, the amount that was normally put together in a mixture of water to yield the Yain Masechet. So it's the amount of wine, yain chai, that's normally mixed in with meziga, that's mixed in with water, that you now have yain masechet. And the Gemara explained that's kois yofa, it's kedei mezigas kois is kois yofa, which is kois shel bracha, which is the kois of wine that you have for benching. And Omarov Afanan Nami Tanina. Afanan Nami Tanina, we learned from our Mishnah, because the Mishnah says, Amoitzi Yain Kedei Mezigas Kais. It's the amount of wine, Yain Chai, is Kedei Mezigas Kais. Vatani Allah, Kedei Mezigas Kais Yof. And we learned on that, it's Kedei Mezigas Kais Yof. Oktani Seifa Vishar Kol HaMashkim B'Ravias. And it says that the other Mashkim, the shear is a Ravias. So you can learn from here that the amount of yain chai that is needed is that amount of yain which will yield a revius, because all mashkim, the shear for haitzah, is a revius. So in wine also, it has to be that the end result is that you will have a revius of yain. So therefore, in a kois shel bracha, Rava's shita is that it's 1 part yain chai, 3 parts water. So if you have a quarter of a revius of yain chai, then the standard proportion, the ratio of yain chai to water will be 3 parts water, and therefore you'll have a revius of wine, of diluted wine. And we see that the shear from Ashkim is a revius. So the amount of yain chai has to be that much that will, at the end, after you do the meziga, will yield a revius. So it's a quarter of a revius. Where it says, that the proportion of yain chai with water has to be 1 part yain chai, 3 parts water. If there's less than 1 part to 3 parts, if there's less than 1 part of yain chai, it's not called yain. So therefore, when we say the share of moitzi yain, it means that it's a quarter of a revius. So that's the shita of Rava, that the dilution is chad plus maya, that it's yain chai is 1 part to 3 parts water, and therefore the shear is a quarter of a revius. However, Abaye asked the Chuvas Badovar. We have 2 kashas on what you said. Chad, one, this time we learned the Mishnah Nida v'hamozuk shnei chelkei mayim ve'echad yain min hayayin asher reini. Firstly, the Mishnah Nida says there's 5 different shades of red that we consider a tomei for dam nida. There's different shades of red. One of them is diluted wine. And it says that the dilution is, when we want to determine the color red, the brightness of the red, it's 1 part yain chai to 2 parts water. Not 1 to 3, as you, Rava, are saying. You see here clearly that the Mishnah says, Shnei chelkei mayim ve'echad yain. It's 1 to 2. Min hayayin shirani, from the wine that comes from the Sharon district. So that wine, that 1 part of yain chai from yain asher into 2 parts. So you see that the ratio is 1 to 2, not 1 to 3. V'oid mayim bekadim starf. And secondly, you're saying that the shear as yain chai is a quarter of a revius, so that it will yield, once you dilute it with 3 parts water, it will yield a revius. However, right now it's yain chai. It's not diluted. If the point is that it's choshev, and it's a choshev shear because you need a revius of mashkin, well, right now it's only a quarter of a revius. It's not diluted yet. Yes, it has the potential, but if you're saying that the reason that the shear is because mashkim, you need a revius, well, soif kol soif, right now it's yain chai, you don't have yet a revius, you only have a quarter revius. So how can you say that that's the rationale that you should be chayev on this yain chai? It's yain bekad, the water's in a pitcher. You haven't diluted. The mayim is bekat u'mitzdarfen, and you're going to say that it's combined? The water's in a pitcher. Amalei Rava, he answers, you asked me the first kasha that it says 2-1 from Yain Ashiroini. Yes, but Yain Ashiroini L'chud, that's that wine which is different, the Rafi, that's very weak. So therefore, over there, they could not mix it in with that much water. It had to be 2-1, not 3-1, because that's a weaker kind of wine. And therefore, over there, the dilution is 2-1. But the standard wine, Rava says, I was referring to the standard wine, which is stronger, and their dilution is with more water. Inami, the Gemara says, over there, it's because we're trying to determine the color. It's the color that's red. Now, if you're looking at the color, if you have more of a dilution than 2-1, it won't have the same brightness as red. But as far as the taste is concerned, it will still be strong and strong enough, and it's diluted. The normal dilution is 3-1. Over there, the criteria, the reason why we're trying to see if it has the color red, the shade of red. Now, more than 2-1, it loses the brightness of the color. So therefore, it's not considered damnid. However, over here, the criteria is taste. And as far as taste is concerned, the dilution would be 3-1. It still retains its taste, even if it's diluted with more water. So the ratio is 3-1. The comrade, your second kash is mine, bekadim, it's starfin. It hasn't been diluted yet. And the water is in the pitcher. And if you need a revius, it's only a quarter of a revius of yain chai. The water's in the pitcher. How can therefore that be the shiur? How can that be the criteria? He answers no. Linyan Shabbos midi d'choshev binan v'anami ha'choshev. The shiurim are determined, they're based on what is choshev. And if you have a quarter of a revius of yain chai, since it has the potential to be mixed in mozug with 3 parts water and it will yield a revius of yayin, that is choshev. People will keep it for that purpose. People will not discard it. They will store it away because it has the potential of being mixed with water and yielding a revius. And therefore, the quarter of a revius of yain chai is choshev. And that's why one be chayev for haitzah. Tana, we learned the Tosefta says yovesh because the Rabbi Nos. If it's dried up, if you have wine that's now it's dried up and it's congealed and dry, so what is the shiur of yain yovesh? So Rabbi Nosson says it's a kazayas. Over there, it's a kazayas. That's the shiur that we have. So Rashi Bavorans, well, if we're saying by yain chai, we're saying yain chai, you need only a quarter of a revius, because if you mix it with water, it will yield a revius. Now over here, why do we say that it is a kazayas? Why do we say it's a kazayas? Over here, he's equating the kazayas to a revius, that a revius of liquid in the dry form, in the yavish form, it equates to a kazayas. But if yain chai, you only need a quarter of a revius because you mix it with water, why should we say the shear is so large as a kazayas? It should be less than that. It should be a quarter of it, so which you can mix with water and create a revius. So Rashi says, yain yovesh now cannot be mozug anymore. You cannot mix it anymore to create wine with it. It's yovesh, and it will not be. You cannot dilute it, and it will not mix with water to create a yain mozug. So therefore, we have to treat it on its own, and where it's not going to be mixed with water, and therefore you need the shear of a kazayas, which equates to a revius in the liquid form. Omer Rav Yosef, he says Rabbi Nosson, Rabbi Yosef, Rabbi Yehuda, Omer Dover Echad. He says Rabbi Nosson, which we just saw, and Rabbi Yosef, Rabbi Yehuda, they are on the same sheet. Rabbi Nosson, Hadon, we just mentioned. Rabbi Yosef, Rabbi Yehuda, what did he say? That is the same principle. Desanya Rabbi Yehuda, Omer, Shisha, Devorim, Mikula, Beisham, Chomer, Beisil. There were 6 things, as Rashi explains, that when they came to Keren B'Yavna, at that point, they were 6 items that Beis Shammai, where it's Mekel, and Beis Hillel was Machmer. Normally, it's the other way around. Beis Shammai are the Machmir, and Beis Hillel are the Mekilim. In these 6 items, it's the reverse. And Rashi mentions these aren't the only places where we find that Beis Shammai is Mekel and Beis Hillel is Machmir, but these were mentioned at that one time. What are these 6 things? Dam Nevela, the blood of Nevela, Beis Shammai Metarim, Beis Hillel Metamim. It's a machlekes and Rishonim. What does it mean that it's tohor? But the most Rishonim learn the pshat is dam nevela, Beis Shammai metarim, that they're metarim. They don't give it the tumas nevela. It has a tumah kala, but it doesn't have the tumas nevela. The basar of a nevela is metama b'mag u'b'masa, by carrying it as well. Not only by touching, it's metama by carrying it as well. The blood, they hold that Beis Shammai holds that it's tor. It does not have the tuma chamura of a nevel to be matam masa, but Beis Hillel matam, and Beis Hillel says no, it does, just like the basar is the madam as well as matam masa. And Omer Rav Yehuda av kishetimu Beis Hillel loitimu b'dam sheish bo revius. So he said, even the Beis Hillel or Machmir, they said it's talman or talman mamasa, but however, it's only if it's the quantity of the dam that has revias, hoyel v'yachol likra shalom ral kazayis, because it can be dried out, congealed and dried out, and it will equate to a kazayis. So you see over here that he wants to say that this is the same sheet as Rav Nosson, that the liquid form of yain is revias, in the yavesh, in the dry form, it's a kazayis. A kazayis equates to a revias in the liquid form. Amar Abaye says, what's your raya? What's your raya that they're saying the same thing? Dilma loihi. Maybe it's not so. Maybe Adkan loikam Rabbi Nosson hacha the boy revias el behind the kolish. Maybe he only said that you need a revias, you need that much. You need so much liquid. The revias equates to a kazayas. That's by yain, which is not wine, which is not so thick. Aval bedam de samech, but blood is thicker. Perhaps he would say kazayas loy boy revias, that to get to a kazayas, you don't need a revius. Even less than a revius will equate to a kazayas. And maybe even less than that will equate to a kazayas, and maybe it's not the same ratio because it's thicker. Or perhaps alternatively, the other way around. Maybe over there, said over there that kazayas revius, that it's enough, a revius will equate to a kazayas. A kazayas is equal to a revius, maybe elevidam samich. Maybe that's only by blood, which is thick. Aval yain the kolish, but perhaps he would say that wine, which is not so thick, kazayas haviyaisim revius, that a kazayas equates to more than a revius. And therefore, you should say that even if it's less than a kazayas, since over there the wine is not so thick. It's not so thick as dam, maybe even less than a kazayas would equate to a revius, and therefore, perhaps even by less than a kazayas, he should be chayv roitzah, because even less than a kazayas would equate to a revius of yain. So we have no proof that they are both of the same shita. However, Rabbi Nosson says that if it's dry, the shear is a kazayas of yain for roitzah, and the shita of Rav Yosef Rav Yehuda legabe tuma is a Beis Hillel matamem by a dam of they give it a tumas nevela if it has a revius. Chalav k'dei gemiyah. What is the quantity of milk? That's one chayav for being hoitzover taking out on Shabbos. It's the amount to swallow. It's enough to swallow. Iboilahu, the Gemara is going to have now questions, several words, what the precise spelling is of these words. So it says the Mishnah is chol k'dei gemiyah. Iboilahu k'dei gemiyah or k'dei gemiyah. Is it with an aleph or is it with an ayin? What's the precise spelling? We see from the pasuk it says Eliezer tells Rivka, "Hagmiini, not mine, mikadech. Give me a little bit of water to swallow from your pitcher." So you see that water to swallow is Gemia should be written therefore with an aleph. Iboilu, in a similar vein, we have some other shaylas, garinin or garin. Is it written in the pit? Is the correct spelling with an aleph or with an ayin? It says when you pointed the field from hektish after makdish, you're pointed based on a declining balance. according to the number of years that are left until the Yovel. So each year that passes, it reduces the redemption amount by that proportional amount. So it says that v'nigra merkecha, it's declining, it's lessened. The redemption amount, the amount that's needed to be paid, is lessened. So here also the pit lessens the amount of the fruit. You remove the pit from the fruit, it lessens the quantity, the volume of the fruit. So therefore, it should be written in the same way. And just like it says over there, it's in Pasuk says v'nigra with an ayin, it should be written with an ayin.